There's this one guy. His name's Shamoo. So this guy's accusing me of being a pet. He wanted me and Trevor to make out in front of him. We kissed. His lips were so chapped. My stubble on his stubble. We got naked.
Hello, everyone. So there's been a few things that have happened in the fallout of the Tectone doc I thought were worth talking about. I also received a return on the FOIA and the 82 pages of court documents referenced in my video of Tectone's insane lawsuit between his ex-wife and ex-girlfriend. If you haven't seen the first video, be sure to check it out as you'll have more context for some of the things being discussed. I'll put a link in the description. Also, please hit the like button and leave a comment as it helps with the algorithm. Also, if you want to support more videos like this, I'll throw the relevant links up on screen. One of the main criticisms of Tectone is when being criticized, he constantly sympathy farms his audience. Here was how Tectone responded to the internet making fun of his father being an infamous convicted military pest, something he was already well aware of.
I was named after my father's best friend because I was supposed to die at birth, and I was just considered the failure of the family I was. I'll be real, I was never really treated too good. My father threw me to the ground, put a gun against my head, and he said, "Give me a good reason not to shoot you." I hated my father. He never told me that he was proud of me.
He even references this reaction as a, quote, play, as in implementing strategy, when talking about the father pest response stream the next day.
What they'll do is they'll hear me say that I don't care, and they'll see me crying, and they'll post that. But I still think it was a good play. I do. I mean, obviously it wasn't pre-orchestrated or anything. I just got overwhelmed by, obviously I get sensitive about my family 100%, but...
So let's consider these things when viewing the following. Just 10 minutes after my premiere on Tectone finished airing, he immediately would go onto Twitter and post what many suspected as sympathy farming. Quote, "Rest in peace, Christy. You were like a mother to me and the kindest person I've ever met. I'll miss you forever and I love you." People DM'd me letting me know it was posted, and at first I thought, yeah, I don't know about that. It's a bit too conspiratorial, even if a bit coincidental. I said I would have to see if the person didn't pass that day in order to consider it. It's an odd coincidence for him to post this just 10 minutes after my premiere ended, but you'd need more. Well, people were actually able to find online that this person had actually not passed that day, but well over a week ago. Since the tweet was framed in a way that would make the reader think that she passed that day and it was just 10 minutes after the premiere finished, I do think there was a chance he was sympathy farming. As I've already established, this is a key trait Tectone has and utilizes when operating online. But one thing you have to realize about Tectone is that he is hyper-fixated and paranoid about videos being critical of him and negative coverage. If you go to any video like this, you are likely to see Tectone commenting on the video sometimes immediately after they go up. Videos with 200 views to a couple thousand will often have Tectone there commenting on it. This man is plugged in bigly and is watching the vast majority of videos and coverage he receives. Tectone will respond by saying people were attacking his friend's mother that passed away and that they were saying he was making it up. But that wasn't the point anyone was making at all. The point was the timing of the post coupled with the video and her passing well over a week prior. Things would get even stranger when Tectone would respond to all this by saying he was having schizophrenic hallucinations, seeing this woman's spirit in the room, vaguely addressing why he made the post about this woman a week later, while also claiming that he was paying for this woman's hospital stay and life support.
Bro has seen God himself. Oh, I was hallucinating like crazy yesterday. I was sitting on this couch when I heard the news about Christy passing, and my OBS was open because I was talking to Shinya while trying to get my stream set up. I swear to God, Christy was behind me. Sometimes I can't tell if I'm a schizophrenic or if I'm a shaman. Honestly, it's a toss-up. Yo, guys, what do you think? Anyways, lightning totem, fire totem. In case you guys don't know, my best friend's mom died around 8 days ago. My buddy wasn't really ready to talk to me about it until like 2 days ago. And then I got him on the call yesterday to actually find out what happened because he told me there was bad news. And I actually was helping pay for the life support of Christy for a bit there, because she was more to a mom to me than my actual mom was.
It could totally be coincidental that he made the post accidentally making it look like she had just passed away around 10 to 20 minutes after the premiere finished. But again, I find it odd that it would take over a week for Tectone to find out about this, especially when, according to him, this woman was more of a mom to him than his own mother. If you recall, one of the lesser known secrets about Tectone was his inability to have sex for the vast majority of his 10-year relationship with his ex-wife Freem and the totality of Pink's 2-year relationship with him.
You understand why I would not have sex with you. As a victim of assault and myself, I had trauma when it came to having sex. This is a known fact. I have told you this from day one. I don't want to apologize for being raped and being scared.
So I did find it funny when opening his response stream to my video that I was agreeing with Tectone overcompensating and announcing to his audience that he had been having a ton of sex.
I just passed the out, dude. Like, I mean, oh, Jesus. I was just having so much sex. I just passed out. I don't know. I just blew my load.
Tectone is deathly afraid to review the video and most likely never will on stream. Inside his Discord, if you even attempt to post any video tangentially related to mine, you will be banned from posting. So the only reason Tectone had any comments about my video whatsoever was because the ex-OTK member Justin Minks, or Minks on Twitter, shared the video and said, "Just a reminder, this dude supports his father, who is a rapist, and got an anime tattoo to feel better after sexually assaulting and degrading his past 2 partners, but okay. I've had bad interactions with him myself in private, but this video will really shine some light to viewers."
Like the other day where he posted about Minks going in about me, about my quote-unquote allegations, right? Here we go again. Yeah, those things that are obviously, those were very serious, even though it's been over a year and nothing happened.
I mean, something has happened though. As Tectone himself has stated, he is being investigated 100% and has been in contact with the police.
I'll be real. I went to the police yesterday, right? Because, like, you know, they're going to investigate me. They're going to investigate me 100%. They're going to investigate me. They're going to investigate me 100%. Anybody's worked with the police, it is so slow. It's unbelievable. Look at this. Minks take shots, post this weird ass. This, the worst hit piece.
It's the worst hit piece, but Tectone refuses to watch it or any of the numerous people that have covered it, even banning his Discord members from being able to post anything related to it in his Discord. If it's comically bad, Tectone could pick it apart, but he never will because he has no explanation nor any good answers to the questions that the video poses. One of my main criticisms of Tectone is he is a prolific liar, which we will see plenty of today.
So this one guy, what's his name? I forget the guy's name. It's something Moo.
So right away, the guy literally just had my video on screen, but is such a dishonest coward, he has to pretend not to know who I am after I've talked with him directly, and his worst enemies have been reviewing my video for the past week.
Moo. I don't know. This guy DMs me being like, so Mr. Tectone, sir, may I get a couple questions about what's going on with your current issues with your exes?
I told him I would be covering all of his recent controversies with his father and ex-partners because I wanted to be sure to include his side for context. All the questions I laid out were the most critical criticisms I had for Tectone, or lies I felt I had caught him in.
And I'm like, yeah, sure, I can answer anything that you want me to answer. And then he sends me like the most inflammatory questions of all time. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't answer these, but if you wait a little bit and you wait for the results of the investigation that is currently ongoing, then you'll have your answers.
The majority of these questions he had already talked about publicly. I asked why he hadn't filed a defamation case, if there was a period of time Pink wasn't paying rent, if there were any other receipts he had posted so I could be sure to include those in the video, his ex's lawsuit, the revenge his wife was accused of spreading that is now considered false by both parties, and if his ex-wife had ever planned on making allegations against him. One of only 2 questions he answered is a verifiable lie by Tectone, and the other was included in the last video twice when questioning if he had encouraged Pink to go after his ex-wife with legal cases and revenge allegations.
So if you want to wait a little bit before you make your video, that way you can actually be informed, bada bing, bada boom, there you go. And he's like, Tectone's trying to avoid my questions and silence me from making the video.
I did not say he was trying to silence me, but I did say he was low-key asking me not to make the video, which I do think is probably the fairest criticism he offers, as it's self-admittedly a bit overdramatic. That being said, this is like 5 seconds of an hour-long video. There is a ton of criticisms and lies I caught in that video, so it's telling this is one of the few points he's willing to bring up at all.
And then the guy goes live with an hour and 8-minute video of the most dog shit, bad faith arguments I've ever seen in my entire life. And then he starts psychoanalyzing my face expressions and my body language and saying, you see, he's lying because look at how his eyebrow twitches here.
So this is the first outright lie by Tectone. I never say you can tell he is lying by reading his facial expressions. I'm not even sure if I make any conclusions whatsoever over his facial expressions. I do close-ups on important moments to add entertainment or to make it dramatic, but what he just said never happens in the video. It's just a lie.
Then he gets Plazookas. He gets Plazookas as a viable source of information.
This is the other outright lie Tectone tries to sell. Plazookas is an A-log channel of Tectone, but I only use his videos as an archive for a stream Tectone and his archive channel deleted. -1 comment made, Plazookas never speaks in the video, it's just using the archive. At the end of the video, I have an archive thanks because I always think the creators, platforms, or users that archive things, but outside of this comment.
And then she went after his wife, and there was a whole controversy over that. She basically had protected him, defended him, and he used her constantly.
Plazookas never comes up in the video, but Tectone wants to exaggerate this to manipulate his audience.
This guy is 58 years old. This guy is 58 years old, I shit you not. Every single day, he makes a video about me. He even put his 1-year anniversary of making videos on me with the most schizo takes ever, and here's the guy he's listening to.
It's actually incredible that one of my main criticisms of Tectone was him lying and manipulating his audience, and in the response itself, he's actually doing it. I've never spoken to Bazookas, and outside of a single archive, there's really nothing there.
He's a 58-year-old man who accidentally doxed himself, leaked all of his private information. So I've done the favor of not talking about him for a year, because if you want his full name and address, it's already out there on the internet. So I don't talk about him ever, because this already happened. People already looked into his background. People already looked up that he has multiple diagnosed mental illnesses, right?
I really think this guy may be the most deceptive person I've ever covered. It is so obvious he's attempting to tie me to someone his audience is primed to regard as mentally ill in order to try to discredit me, essentially. Beyond being totally fake here, Tectone is also malicious. He made sure to tell his audience, hey, this old man's dox is out there, just so you know, all while framing it as if he is doing what's best for someone he obviously deeply dislikes talking about him. And for the record, I have zero clue if any of the things Tectone is saying about Bazookas are true here. As my last two videos demonstrated, Tectone be lying a whole lot. It's already been stated, but I've never spoken with Bazookas, nor did I get his testimony for my last video in any way. To me though, it just seems like he's just another guy A-logging someone. That's why I called him the quote, resident Tectone A-log in my last video.
I've warned this guy to stop making content about me. He still does it. And they're using this guy as a credible source, where all he says is, the women are telling the truth and Tectone's lying, even though I've proved everything, because there's this narrative going around me, which is, Tectone's used an NDA to silence up one of his exes.
No, we don't know why the NDA was signed. The only thing we do know is that it was sometime around when his ex-girlfriend was suing his wife after discovering his ex-wife was going to go public with allegations against Tectone. You cannot make definitive statements though. We as the viewers do not know what happened. The point was to look at the timeline and contradictions or outright lies Tectone made. That does not mean we know definitively if Tectone is guilty of all these things he's been accused of. Just that as viewers, these are things that should be considered.
And it's like, first of all, I was the one who was placed under NDA.
This guy, man, he's something else. You both were placed under NDA. There is no definitive statement made by me about why you were, only that it followed shortly after she was going to make abuse accusations public. There could be some mutual reason, I suppose, but it went from ex-wife is about to drop a Google Doc detailing your abuse to lawsuits and false police reports against her, and then the Google Doc being silenced and NDAs being up.
Right? I didn't go towards anybody and place them underneath an NDA. That's not a thing that happened. That's never a thing that happened. And the other thing that happened is you cannot NDA a crime. You cannot do that. That's a thing that you cannot do.
Right, so this is true, but it literally does not change the fact that she was going to make allegations, which you lied to me and to everybody else about. Separating the insane thumbnails for a second, these videos are mainly to illustrate how Tectone lies, because those are the things that can be proven, which should cause skepticism when looking at a timeline of events and his narratives.
So my dad, right? My dad. Man, people really like talking about my dad.
So this is the last thing Tectone talks about in regards to the video, and it is interesting. One of the criticisms I levy at Tectone was the performance he gave after his father's drama blew up. He basically threw him under the bus, talked about how his father was putting a gun to his head, abusing him, and his father was being, quote, a monster.
It's kind of hard to think of your family as a monster.
However, after watching the video, now he will be defending his father. But
I got sent an article about what it was that he actually did, because everybody was telling me that my father was a and, you know, everybody kept on saying, oh, dude, your dad's a dad's a And I'm sure at this point, at this time, you guys have probably heard that, right? I'm sure at this point, you guys probably heard this. Well, I actually got sent an article of what he actually did. The judge found him not guilty of the most serious charges of assault, which would have required him to register as a sexual offender. But yeah, so like, I don't know why everybody's calling my dad a when he didn't even anybody.
So Tectone lies a bit here, but his father was charged with assault and sexual harassment. The controversy for his father was that he was a prolific sex pest, and that when these people came out with allegations, he was tried in a military court and was given what politicians at the time would have regarded as a sweetheart deal. Basically, he was able to keep his pension, stay off the registry, and get off light. This is why his father was the poster child for the quote, Stop Military initiative that was going on at the time and televised on C-SPAN. But yes, he was never accused of forced penetration, and I don't believe Tectone believes that was ever the case either. Also, the article Tectone uses as proof people lied about his father is the same article I used in my last video. He just doesn't read the rest of the article, where after his father is found guilty, he tries to approach the women and say sorry, and they run away crying from him.
So like, why is everybody calling him a rape? And according to this, he didn't even sexually touch anybody.
So this is untrue. He was charged with assault. He just wasn't charged with the more serious ones that would have led to him being a sex offender. I will, however, say this is a much better response than his first one, where he called his father an abusive monster that threatened him when he was younger with taking him out with a firearm. That being said, if it was me, I would probably never address it after the first time, just say, yeah, it happened, and then move on.
So he was a gooner, and he had on his government computer, and he showed it to people, right? So like, at least like, if you can't do the bare minimum of research for that, I mean, I don't know what you want me to say, right?
You gotta sort of admire how dumb this guy thinks his own audience is. He's literally using the article specifically from my video. That's probably where he found it, as I did not see it anywhere else during the scandal. Then he has the gall to partially present it and hope his audience don't look into it at all. Considering he watched the video and this was the only response he could muster, I feel even more confident with the lies pointed out in the previous video and its accuracy.
So he was a gooner.
Tectone cannot stand it when people make negative content about him. Back in the Genshin Impact days, he basically had a long string of bullying autistic game meta people for simply saying Tectone's takes weren't backed by any of the mathematics they used to determine optimal strategy. Tectone was so butthurt about this, he likens the criticism to people trying to ruin his life.
So you think that my takes are good?
I don't know. I don't think you're no. Oh my god, no. But
So it's
I'm
not a
just trying to
joke.
say that, you know, do you think me insulting, like saying your Genshin takes aren't good, does that hurt you?
Do you think that when my livelihood was to make money off of YouTube, do you think when I was $1.1 million in debt, do you think that when the entire Genshin community was on me, do you think me saying, oh great, another had made a video on me, I can't wait to deal with the backlash, when I had no money, when I was about to lose my house, what do you think that was going to do? You can paint it any way that you want. You can say, look at how much of a silly Billy I was being. The reality is you caused a lot of damage.
I was gonna say, because he said I ruined his life and like the video hurt him and stuff, but like he was being super nice to me in DM, so like, are you, what?
Yeah.
And I felt really bad.
Tectone is basically an idiot, offering how he feels about what's best when you have these mega autists doing spreadsheets of frame data and mathematics to determine what's optimal. This would be fine, but of course Tectone would get insecure and then attack these creators and lie to his audience.
Tactics like saying things like he dismantled our argument in 2 minutes using in-game data and logic.
Even when other content creators came on my channel, like when Jinx and Tuner came on my channel, bro, I dismantled him in seconds, and he had to spend 40 minutes trying to justify his cause, right? Y'all were there for that. I dismantled him in seconds. I have been able to defend every single one of my opinions beyond a shadow of doubt using literally in-game data and logic.
Which you can easily see is not what happened if you actually just went and watched the VOD of the actual discussion. However, he is the bigger content creator, so he can rewrite history as much as he wants and say whatever he wants. And he knows that his viewers aren't going to bother going back and actually looking at the VOD of this discussion and seeing that all of his claims are bullshit. And in a he said situation, the bigger content creator always wins.
That was Jinx, and Tectone had a whole drama with him over his Zhongli meta takes. To add insult to injury, Tectone would later admit that he knew he was wrong, but as he so often does, just completely lied to them and his audience.
Now, let's just call a spade a spade. Do I think Zhongli was good pre-buff? No. Will I ever admit that to another content creator? Absolutely not. Good God, man.
Tectone is a guy who wants to be the base rightoid like his hero Osmongold, but the truth of the matter is he's a degenerate, addicted freak, so he will lie, deceive, and change his views or principles based off what benefits him at any given time. None of this is more apparent than when he decided to go after lolicons, because Tectone himself has a history of liking lolicons and talking sexually about characters that went as low as 6 to 8 years old, while ranking them in a waifu tier list.
Next up, Paimon. Dude, I feel like if Paimon were to visit me, I feel like we'd just be best friends. You know? And I bet she would taste delicious. Imagine how Paimon's feet would taste when she's 18. Probably like cinnamon and honey. Should be fine. B for I can't believe she's not butter. Awful. Chi-Chi, S tier, adorable. Okay? Hilarious. Cute. Get this girl a cocoa goat. Okay? She is adorable. She is beautiful. Dude, this girl is already running a fucking hotel at like age 6. In patch 2.0, when we gather the Dragon Balls and we revive Chi-Chi, and then she gets to expand to level 18 and age 18, imagine how amazing she would be.
Tectone also openly talked about having crushes on loli characters.
I want to punch you in the face now, because you make me feel feminine. You make me feel like a little. You make me feel like I'm a little kid back in middle school. I have a crush on you, Hutao, and it's not healthy.
Now, I want to make this totally clear that the creator Tectone tried to deplatform was certainly more of an extreme case, without a doubt, 100%. but it is the hypocrisy that I feel is worth addressing. Tectone actively consumed and profited from this type of content. However, he would try to deplatform other Genshin creators for in some cases the exact same things he had done, like having lollies in a waifu tier list.
If you were to report a crime to a police officer, that would not be considered drama. This is calling out some disgusting behavior because I have never seen anybody be this blatant of a pedophile in my whole life. On YouTube, no less.
And feet. If you're into feet, you got it with Nahida. She doing wonders for you. So I just wholeheartedly think both of them are smashable.
So I want to make this very clear. Bro is doing a Genshin Impact's most breedable character tier list and let me just go ahead and show you, puts Nahida and Klee and Diona in S tier. Imagine how Paimon's feet would taste.
Tectone would attempt to cancel this other Genshin Impact creator for doing in some cases the same sort of ranking tier list he himself did in the past. While Ren had much more explicit behaviors than Tectone, the ranking of lollies in a waifu or breed tier list, in my opinion, is within the same realm. Tectone would then post about how the creator should be deplatformed on Twitter, but delete the post soon after because people began going through his Twitter and finding all of the lolicon artists he was following. Tectone was also called out for simping for a trans lolly that is 15 and talking sexually about the character openly on Twitter. They also had Tectone liking posts with this lolly character getting plowed by some black furry creature. So needless to say, he was busted again for being a liar. After being caught in 4K, Tectone would panic and mass unfollow every account he had previously been following. However, afterwards, he immediately followed lolly accounts directly after posturing, such as the Anime Man, which is this guy. You see, Tectone doesn't even really hold this as a principle. He regularly associates with Nuxtaku, who famously associated with Shadman at one time. Shadman is famous for creating depictions of real children doing explicit acts, and famously used Keemstar's own children for one of these disgusting depictions. Nuxtaku also reviewed lolicon and all sorts of things on his own YouTube channel. Point is, Tectone happily associates with people like this and has admitted as much.
I agree. I do think it's a little bit hypocritical of me to follow people who I know like lollies. I definitely think that's hypocritical. But the thing is, Joey's one of the reasons why I started YouTube, and Lucari's one of my best friends, so he's gonna have to overlook it sometimes, just to be completely honest. I agree that it's completely hypocritical.
Essentially, Tectone tried to deplatform a competitor in the Genshin Impact space. He admits he still follows all of these other people that are into lolly, and he's on recording ranking toddlers as waifus and talking about them in a sexual manner. So why would Tectone associate, work with, and be okay with some lolly people, but not others?
I'm not going to sit here and turn a blind eye. This is not normal behavior. This is deranged. Imagine how Paimon's feet would taste.
In the past couple of years, Tectone has totally retconned all of this, and surprise, surprise, has lied to do so. Tectone will pretend that he didn't know what lolly meant in the past, and then boldface lied that he only said the word one time, quoting another streamer. Here he is lying to another streamer straight to their face.
Bro, these guys need to be put in a mental asylum, bro. What the?
I said the word lolly one time because in the game's code, Klee and Chi-Chi's body type, they're underneath the category of lolly. So I said the word lolly, and the other thing is I was quoting another content creator. His name's Xlex, who's a good dude. Okay, but him and this other guy called Fob say the word lolly a lot. I don't, right? So I said it for the first time. It gets clipped, and people say that I'm a pedophile. Shaw is like this little lolly girl, okay? She's a firefighter. She doesn't look like any of them have miniguns, which really pisses me off because I want to insane lolly with a minigun. We also have Flamebringer, whose kid seems pretty weird, but I don't care because he looks really hot. The K-pop lead singer haircut, and then Vermelli, the little lolly girl. Please give me zombie lolly. Oh, zombie lolly, please. We need dead zombie lolly, and we need Big Daddy Donger. New. Let's go. Because I said the word lolly, and they say I'm a pedophile. My little sister sees that shit without context. No. And then I have to explain to her why I'm not a creep.
Oh. Damn, so they're really just on your for no reason.
Yeah. Imagine how Paimon's feet would taste.
In summation, Tectone is fake and doesn't stand on business if he can benefit. One guy makes a lolly breed tier list, and Tectone tries to deplatform him for being a nonce. And the other guy is literally playing explicit videos with child characters censored just enough for YouTube, and Tectone's cool with it because he's a big name. Tectone actually reviews an extremely mild video on the Nuxtaku drama where he puts on a sweeping clinic for Nux, calling the Shadman situation a non-issue several times.
The Shadman thing was a non-issue.
At one point, he even had direct contact with Shadman.
Very fair.
Where multiple.
This is another non-issue. Oh, since the beginning of me and Nux's relationship, maybe 4 years, 4.5 years, he's been nothing but good to me. I think it's fine if people don't like Nux. I think that's completely fine. However, I don't, so I really don't care. That's pretty much it. All right, cool. Like, comment, subscribe.
Now, let's get into the court papers. They were filed June 25th, 2024. Before delving into them, it's important to remember that this is Tectone and his then-girlfriend Pink's side, which will look to paint Freem in the worst possible light. 2 months after this filing, Freem would deny every allegation made within these court papers and demand a trial. 3 months after this, and Pink would respond asking to dissolve the case with a notice of non-suit with prejudice, where both parties would bear their own costs and attorney fees. So we should remember that when this was contested to go to trial, Pink dropped the lawsuit and came out saying the most damning allegations in the suit were false, so people can read through the filings and come to their own conclusions. All of the filings will appear on screen for viewers to read, but there are specific points I will hit so this doesn't go on forever. The first page is standard, with Pink seeking monetary relief of over $250,000, but no more than $1 million. The next 2 pages explain Mythic Talent and their roster of Asmongold, Mizkif, Tectone, and others. It states that Freem assisted Tectone with daily management of Tectone's brand and business, and that she was the head artist of Mythic Talent and worked as a designer for OTK and Mythic. Now, part of this I had in my last video, but what I didn't have, which further proves one of Tectone's lies, is it states that Curzon was hired on July 25th, 2022. This date is important because Tectone had claimed to Pink, and the public through her, that the reason Tectone verbally abused his wife in the car was because he found out Freem was cheating on him right before this car domestic.
Keep this in mind. This is the day he caught her and Cruz cuddling on the couch and realized she was cheating on him with Cruz, his assistant.
However, this July 2022 date is months and months after this. It also corresponds with the plane tickets Pink had posted as proof to prove Tectone was lying about this. And these court documents further corroborate the date of Curzon's arrival, further cementing one of Tectone's lies. Exhibit 1 is attached to this page's claims about Curzon and Freem going on dates. A couple interesting tidbits about this. 1. The person who leaked all of her private communication with Freem to Tectone is VTuber Kitnetic. Interestingly, half a year later, Kitnetic would be one of the people backing up both Freem and Pink publicly about Tectone being abusive. The other thing of note is just that this correspondence was made well after Freem and Tectone separated, in September. Page 5 elaborates more on the date Curzon and Freem went on, and then further states Freem would separate from Tectone, leaving 8 days after this, filing for divorce 4 months later. The next page states Pink and Tectone began dating in December of 2022, and provides Twitter logs to corroborate the timeline. Given its validity, the exhibit does suggest that Pink Chu and Tectone began talking a month after Freem filed for divorce. It then gets into the revenge allegations, which Pink now denies ever existed. The only evidence provided is a still of the front yard of Pink Chu and Tectone getting into the car. Now, this is tricky, but it specifically states there were cameras, quote, around the house. I'm assuming since the only evidence is of the front yard, that these cameras were around the outside of the house, but this is never clarified in the filing. Tectone states on the next page that his ex-wife called him and said, quote, is she better than me? And told him about the cameras, and that she cheated on Tectone while they were still living together. Then there's a bunch of high school drama about who was dating who and rumors being spread. One in particular, the, quote, gag reflex surgery, is one I had no idea even existed until reading this court filing. It also mentions the micro comment Freem made about microtone. As a quick aside, in the last video I didn't think much of these comments other than Tectone's ex just talking poorly about him, but I was made aware that he has actually openly talked about having a micro before, so I'm leaning more towards microtone not being just a meme.
That's what women do when I pull out my penis. They say, wow, so small. That's my ritual. I wake up, I jerk off, and I go do my job. But I woke up, started that, and then I covered it up as me scratching my leg. Thankfully, I have a very small cock.
Call it a stereotype, call it unfortunate circumstances, but being a self-admitted microtone ain't helping his abuse allegations, fam. If you're keeping score, you can put a point in the dick category for this one. Next, I mentioned one of Tectone's friends, Zizix, presented as someone who knows all the allegedly illegal things Freem is doing to Tectone. For those who don't know, Zizix is a guy who, upon Pikachu making allegations public, potentially spread fake DMs of Pink to try to discredit her. He claims he didn't know that they were fake after being called out for it, but you can decide that on your own. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. Tectone also claims his ex-wife sent videos to Kinetic and the CEO of Mythic Talent. Next, Freem is accused of posting Tectone's bank statements, stealing money, and a whole host of things. However, the exhibits that are provided to prove these claims contain none of that info whatsoever. Page 10 states that on February 3rd, Freem announced that she was not on good terms with Tectone, and there were current legal happenings between them and their lawyers. Then on page 11, the next day, it gets back to Pink that Freem was about to go public with allegations against Tectone. It's stated as, quote, serious and false allegations, that upon hearing them from Pink, Tectone freaked out. He found out that a Google Doc was about to be released regarding the abuse allegations and that Vebe, Kuko, and Sodapoppin were aware of the alleged abuse. Tectone claims it was being used as blackmail. Immediately after this, in the court filings, it states that in response to these allegations potentially becoming public, Pinkchu then elects to file a police report against Freem for revenge. It then claims that people that used to employ Freem were sent revenge. But again, Pinkchu claims this revenge never existed and that she was manipulated to press charges against Freem to silence her. So if this is true, what the hell is going on with Freem's former employers who were representing Tectone at the time and still are presently? Let's take a moment to consider a few things. 1. Pink and Tectone are alleging in this that Freem was just willy-nilly spreading revenge of them to higher-ups and co-workers at the org she worked for at the time. How deranged does this sound on the face of it? Oh, hey boss and CEO of Mythic Talent Musashi that pays my bills. Man, me and my new boyfriend are furious at my ex-husband and his new girlfriend like you wouldn't believe. Here, let me just send you this I have of them that I secretly recorded on security cameras. It sounds insane. Mythic Talent is a talent agency of mostly VTubers with other people signed such as Tectone and Osmongold. Pretty good agency, especially if you're willing to be on the record as receiving revenge from your employees and potentially later going to court for it. There's no documentation whatsoever or statement from Mythic Talent CEO or employees if any of this happened, by the way. So I suppose the question would be, if we are assuming these are lies, if Mythic Talent was aware that they were being named as a witness to revenge crimes that never happened, how involved were they? Were helping push a lawsuit in favor of two of the people they were representing at the time, Pink and Tectone. Those are the only two options. Either Freem sent all of her co-workers and her boss, the CEO of Mythic Talent Musashi, revenge her ex-husband and his new girlfriend, or they knowingly lied about receiving it in order to aid two of the creators they were representing at the time. We know it's stated in the court documents that Freem was telling other creators a part of this network about her alleged abuse from Tectone. So how much was there to gain in participating in a lawsuit or the police action that occurred right after these allegations got back to everyone and were about to become public? And can you guess who Mythic Talent is owned by? The same company that has had several of these sorts of allegations in the past, OTK, or One True King. Founded by OTK members Asmongold and Tips Out, who you can see here with Tectone on the Steak and Eggs podcast. 2. The VTuber who leaked all of her communications with Freem, Kitnetic, was the main source they used throughout this, with leaked private conversations of Freem venting to what appears to be a friend. The odd thing about this is that months later, when Pink came out with her allegations against Tectone, Kitnetic tweeted in support of both women, claiming they had the exact same story as far as the abuse they experienced with Tectone. After Pink made it public that the revenge wasn't real, there has been no clarification from any of these supposed witnesses in regards to any of this, as so far as saying, hey, she's lying or anything else. Thinking this was strange, I reached out to Kitnetic, who actually responded to me in the exact same way Tectone did. She said that they would talk about this subject, but because there was a lawsuit, they couldn't. However, there is no lawsuit. And I was able to get her to clarify after I mentioned the police investigation that that's actually what she meant. Basically, I was told what was stated publicly is all that can be really said, out of fear of the ongoing police investigation or any potential legal fallout. I wish I could give a clearer answer, as the implications of the revenge from being a lie are actually pretty massive. The police action against Freem happened directly after she was going to make her allegations public, which was followed shortly after with a lawsuit. It's pretty simple. If the revenge wasn't real, it calls into question why the company Mythic Talent was saying that it was. It makes me question how hard Mythic Talent were pushing for litigation in the aftermath of Tectone's ex-wife possibly coming out with allegations. There's nothing you could say definitively, though nobody involved in the lawsuit is willing to clarify or confirm whether or not the revenge was real. Around 30 hours after reaching out to Musashi, the CEO of Mythic Talent, and others, somebody attempted to hack my Twitter account. There were around 10 password resets sent all within the same minute. Obviously, there's no telling who tried hacking my account whatsoever, and it could have nothing to do with what I've been working on at all. However, I felt it was worth mentioning and including for posterity's sake. Page 14 contains a record request for the police report that Pink filed, which was done by Freem's boyfriend, Kurzum. Then, an anonymous account on Twitter, which you could assume was Kurzum, began posting the report, intimating that the report was a lie. If it isn't a lie, and Freem was guilty of this, it would be a very odd thing to do to just start posting the incident report about you. After the police report was posted 2 other times on Twitter, on March 15th, Pink would send a cease and desist to Freem. And that's it for the allegations made in the court filings. The rest of the pages I received were just reiterating the allegations and the type of damages Pink was pursuing at the time. If for some reason you'd like to see those, you can let me know, but there's no new information in them that we didn't already cover. Recently, Tectone brought me up on stream, implying he's going to sue me possibly. He essentially started talking about all the lawyers he has, and then directly after this started talking about me.
And then I have a remote lawyer, a other lawyer, and then 2 days ago, I got another lawyer. So I have 3 lawyers now. Finally, I think I have a lawyer that can actually do something that I need, which is great, which is amazing. What's your take on DK? Just play it. Just drop through it, don't play it. Really that easy. You know what I mean? That's pretty much how it goes for 99% guys against. Just blow your load and dip. Yeah, there's this one guy. His name's Shamoo. He made a quote unquote hit piece on me. Oh God, my mod linked me this one video because this guy's been schizo posting about me on Twitter because he thinks it's gonna fucking do something. Doesn't matter, bro. All my advertisers are Chinese and Japanese, and I don't talk to anybody, and my channel relies on me and me alone. The only person who can cancel me is me. It doesn't matter if I were to kill somebody. Unless my account's permabanned, you can't do shit. That's the reality.
Wow. I have zero interest in any sort of deplatforming of Tectone. I wasn't the one that made any of the allegations. His ex-wife and ex-girlfriend did. Unlike you, who constantly whines and complains about why lefty Twitch streamers need to be banned, I personally want everyone to have a platform and lessen bans as much as possible. I want more crazy things online, not less, and the least amount of censorship possible.
Right, and the good news is, I'm a great guy. So this guy's accusing me of being a pet.
Bro, this guy seriously can't help himself from lying. I don't think Tectone is a nonce, nor have I ever called him one. He's referring to the loli clips we played earlier in the video. I posted the ones where he talks about how their feet would taste and call him a degenerate in a tweet. However, the main point being made is that Tectone is a total hypocrite, as he has tried to cancel and deplatform people for the exact same behavior he did in the past. As for Tectone suing me, I make it very clear in both videos that both I and the viewers do not know what happened in regards to these allegations. Minus any jokes being made in the video, I'm pretty certain I never accused him of being a either. Tectone is a public figure. I can talk about the allegations being made against him. Period. I wanted to make another video for the full court documents and touch on a few things outside of his relationship scandals. My biggest takeaways from looking into Tectone is his willingness to be totally dishonest. Even outside of the serious allegations from his ex-wife and girlfriend, he is easily the fakest person I've ever covered, with lies, misrepresentation, and hypocrisy sprinkled everywhere when you just give a cursory look. With the court filings now public and my last video offering a comprehensive timeline of events, I think I'm fairly well finished here. Tectone has stated recently he plans to sue everyone, and while I personally doubt this, as he has made statements like this in the past, if it happens, I will be pulling all the court documents for that as well. Unless he decides to sue me, I guess. Cheers, everyone. Peace. Hey guys, please hit like on the video as it helps the channel and the algorithm. If you want to support more content like this, you can do so at patreon.com/Shamoo411. If you have Cash App, you can donate at $Shamoo411. Also, channel memberships and super chats are enabled.